Hello, this is Shella Goodman with Hyde & Company CPAs with a video on how to clear an out-of-date check from your bank reconciliation in QuickBooks Desktop. We will be using QuickBooks Desktop Accountant version 2017, so a few things may look different than what you have, but the general concept will be the same. You do not want to clear previous year checks using the void check or delete check functions in QuickBooks. The reason for this is because your accountant has already closed the year out to match your tax return. If you do void or delete the check, it does so for the date of the check, and that year's fiscal information will not match the information used to prepare your tax return. Today, I will be showing you a better approach. We will begin by looking at a bank reconciliation that will show you how it's set up. We see here the cleared checks and payments, cleared deposits and credits, and then right here we have one uncleared check from 2020. Now this is a sample company, and so the dates will be a little bit ahead in the future. This sample company is now in the year 2021, and this check is from the year 2020. Before we make any changes, it is important to note the previous year's numbers by printing or saving copies of the balance sheet and profit and loss. We do that by going to Reports, Company and Financial, Balance Sheet Standard, and then we want last year's date, so December 31, 2020. Refresh, and we see here, and you can go up here to Print, Save as PDF, and then you can save. I already have it saved on my desktop, so I will push Cancel here. To check the profit and loss, we go to Reports, Company and Financial, Profit and Loss Standard, change the date to beginning of the year 2020 to the end of the year 2020, and you can also print, save as PDF right here. You will need the information of the check that needs to be cleared, like check number, check amount, vendor name, and the account that was affected. So we can go back to your bank rec, or we can actually also go to the profit and loss if you know where to find it, but let's go here for simplicity's sake. Click on that and the check will pull up. We see here it's to Gusman's Nursery, check number 1001, dated January 31 of 2020, in the amount of $100. And the expense account was job materials, plants, and sod. So now that you've recorded that information, we can begin. To start the process, you will need to create a deposit that will clear out the uncleared check. Click on Record Deposits in the Banking section of the home page. Now this will pull up any deposits that you haven't recorded yet, but here we're just going to X that out. We want to create our own deposit. We need to date the deposit for the earliest open period to avoid altering the history. We'll go with January 1, 2021. It was received from Gusman's Nursery, check number 1001, in the amount of $100, and the account was plants and sod. In the memo box, you will want to type to void or clear check 1001. When finished, click Save and Close. When you perform the bank reconciliation, all you will need to do is match the deposit with the outstanding check. Click on Reconcile in the banking section of the home page. We do not have an actual bank statement, so we're just going to make things up as we go. Once the screen comes up, you will see the uncleared check and the deposit that you created. Let's click on this to make it a little bit easier to see. Here's our uncleared check, and here's our deposit that we created. So click here. We can see the difference of $100. Click here, and now a zero difference. Matching the check and the deposit will result in clearing the check without affecting your previous year's reports. Click Reconcile Now, and let's look at the detail. Now we can see that this check cleared, this deposit cleared, and it ends up in a wash. We need to run the previous year's reports again and compare them with the reports that we saved earlier. Go back to Reports, Company and Financial, Balance Sheet Standard, change the date, and hit refresh. So we see here a good way to check is retained earnings and the net income. So we have negative $413.26 in retained earnings and $1,332.53 in net income. Here we see the saved balance sheet from earlier, and the retained earnings and the net income is the same. To check the profit and loss, we go back to Reports, Company and Financial, Profit and Loss Standard. Change the dates once again. And earlier we had an expense for plants and sod. Oh, here it is, plants and sod, $100. Let's see, net income, $839.77. These are just a few numbers that you can use to check quickly. Here we have our saved profit and loss from earlier before we made the changes. We can see plants and sod, $100. And net income, $839.77. So now we know how to clear out-of-date checks in QuickBooks Desktop. Check the previous year balance sheet and profit and loss, make note of the numbers by saving copies of the reports, gather information from the uncleared check, create a deposit using that information, match the deposit and outstanding check in the bank rec, and run the previous year balance sheet and profit and loss again to make sure nothing was affected in the previous year. We hope that this tutorial has been helpful, and thank you for watching.